Recently, an intriguing clue has surfaced that may answer one of the biggest questions surrounding James Gunn's DCU. Who will portray Batman in The Brave and the Bold? Let's talk about it. Before we dive too far into the actor rumors surrounding who might become the newest Batman in James Gunn's DCU, the first thing we need to understand is what kind of Batman project James Gunn is actually building. As of today, the only officially confirmed Batman film for the main DCU universe is The Brave and the Bold. This film was announced directly by James Gunn himself in January 2023 when he introduced the initial roadmap for DC Studios' Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. In that announcement, James Gunn explained that this film would serve as the DCU's Batman debut, while also introducing Damian Wayne as Robin. This detail may seem simple, but its implications for Batman's direction in this new universe are enormous. The reason is that Damian Wayne is not Batman's first Robin. In the comics, Damian Wayne is the biological son of Bruce Wayne and Talia al Ghul, fully introduced through Grant Morrison's Batman and Son storyline in 2006. Damian was raised by the League of Assassins under Ra's al Ghul's influence and was trained as a killer from childhood. When Bruce Wayne eventually discovers Damian's existence and attempts to bring him to Gotham, their primary conflict is not simply fighting villains, but rather a clash between two fundamentally opposing principles. Bruce Wayne has a strict rule against killing, while Damian was raised with the belief that killing is completely normal. That is why James Gunn once described this film as a very strange father and son story. This statement led many fans to believe that DC Studios will likely draw heavy inspiration from Grant Morrison's comic run, especially since that era became a major foundation for Damian Wayne's development in modern comics. What makes this project even more fascinating is its timeline implication. If Damian Wayne is already appearing as Robin, then it is highly likely that the DCU's Batman will not be a young Bruce Wayne only 2 years into his mission, like Robert Pattinson's version in The Batman. Instead, this Batman will likely be much more senior and will already have a long history with the Bat family. Logically, Damian Wayne's existence opens the possibility that Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, and even Tim Drake may have already existed earlier in this timeline, even if not all of them have been officially confirmed. This is what makes The Brave and the Bold feel fundamentally different from most previous Batman adaptations. Rumors about Robert Pattinson joining the main DCU were once heavily discussed online. However, James Gunn repeatedly denied those claims. He firmly stated that Matt Reeves' The Batman universe exists under the Elseworlds label, meaning it remains completely separate from the main DCU continuity. James Gunn explained that Robert Pattinson's version was specifically designed from the beginning as a more grounded story deeply tied to Matt Reeves' distinct creative vision. Merging that version into the main universe would potentially limit the larger fantastical world that the DCU is building. This decision actually makes sense when looking at DC's current roadmap. James Gunn's primary universe is already introducing much larger concepts such as metahumans, Green Lantern, Themyscira, and absurd characters like creature commandos. Meanwhile, Robert Pattinson's world is built with an extremely realistic approach. Even characters like Joker, the Penguin, and the Riddler are portrayed in far more grounded ways compared to their comic counterparts. The problem is that this decision also creates a major challenge for DC. They are now potentially dealing with 2 active live-action Batman during the same period. Robert Pattinson in the Elseworlds universe and an older Batman in the main DCU. That is precisely why the DCU Batman reveal feels so cautious. DC clearly does not want audiences confused by having 2 Batman actors operating simultaneously. If the DCU introduces a Batman who is too grounded, too realistic, or too similar to Robert Pattinson, direct comparisons would immediately arise. In my opinion, that would harm both projects simultaneously, both the Batman Part 2 and The Brave and the Bold. This is why many fans believe DCU's choice to use Damian Wayne as the entry point is also highly strategic. It allows them to differentiate these 2 Batman versions as quickly as possible. Robert Pattinson is still in the early stages of his career as Gotham's vigilante, while DCU Batman would immediately be introduced as a more senior Bruce Wayne with an already established Bat family. Now the question becomes, where exactly will this DCU Batman first appear and make his debut? This has become a growing discussion because James Gunn's early DCU lineup continues to expand, while the primary Batman film itself still lacks a confirmed release date. An important clue has emerged regarding who may portray Batman in James Gunn's DCU. Although this is not a major industry report from outlets like Deadline, Variety, or The Hollywood Reporter stating that he is actively negotiating with DC Studios, a new name has surfaced. That name is Paul Anthony Kelly, whose rise in speculation came purely from a barbershop post. In that post, there was an ordinary haircut photo, but the caption used a bat emoji, instantly causing fans to connect him to the still unannounced DCU Batman. Paul Anthony Kelly first became publicly known after portraying John F. Kennedy in Ryan Murphy's Love Story series. From there, many internet users began to notice how strongly his appearance resembles comic book Bruce Wayne. From a purely visual perspective, he possesses a very classic look, a strong jawline, an aristocratic facial structure fitting Bruce Wayne's aura, and a physical build that aligns well with interpretations of Batman from the Neil Adams or Grant Morrison comic eras. He is not an overly bulky Batman like Ben Affleck's version, and this actually aligns more closely with the brave and the bold's likely direction, presenting a veteran Batman who remains physically capable enough to partner with Damian Wayne. James Gunn has already demonstrated that he does not always choose the biggest celebrity names. Just look at David Cornsweet's casting as Superman. Before his announcement, he was not one of Hollywood's major A-list stars. That is why the idea of DC selecting a fresher face is not unrealistic. However, the major issue lies in acting experience. This is Paul Anthony Kelly's greatest weakness at the moment. His filmography remains very limited compared to other candidates, and many articles point out that he was nearly unknown before this Batman speculation emerged. DCU Batman is not merely about looking impressive in the costume. This actor would eventually need to lead one of Warner Brothers' largest franchises, build chemistry with Damian Wayne, stand alongside David Cornsweet's Superman, and potentially carry the role for years through major DCU events. So, if asked whether he fits visually, the answer is yes, it makes sense. But in terms of experience, there remains a significant question mark. So for now, we simply wait for further developments. Thank you for watching this video. Wishing all of you continued health and success.